Almost every Joestar has a powerful stand ability of some kind. Each of them has their own uses, but I wouldn't call any of them weak. Josuke can fix anything, Jolene can create powerful and versatile strings, Jotaro can stop time and punch things really hard. However, within JoJo Part 8, also known as Jojolian, exists a stand whose abilities are not only extremely versatile, but also contain many different properties. A stand I'd call my personal favorite. I'm of course talking about
Soft and Wet.
Soft and Wet may be a humanoid stand, but it's extremely robotic in its appearance. Soft and Wet has a white color scheme, a heart-shaped chest and torso, with a ship anchor painted on its chest. It has two horns protruding from the sides of its head. The face sports two bug-looking eyes and a line cutting through the center of its face. There's two tubes on its back, likely for moving the bubble-creating liquid. This stand is obviously supposed to represent a bubble-making machine. The stand is devoid of all emotion, which is pretty typical of stands. Interesting fact, Soft and Wet originally had a much different design. There used to be holes on the sides of its face, and it even had a nose. The overall appearance had a more octopus-like vibe. Soft and Wet's appearance was meant to match up with Josuke's sailor appearance. Soft and Wet is a close-range power stand with decently high stats. Soft and Wet may not be as strong as stands like Star Platinum, with its power being closer to Gold Experience. However, it can easily destroy a bathroom wall with a single kick and go toe-to-toe with hipsters. Its stand barrage is also impressively fast, causing after images with every strike, with the signature Ora Ora cry. Soft and Wet's stand ability is generating bubbles. These bubbles can move anywhere by Josuke and can live objects and people. Their size can be manipulated, and Josuke can use them to protect himself from certain attacks. The bubbles contain two properties in one. One is the bubble's main ability, which is Plunder, allowing Josuke to steal properties from any object. He can steal the water from the human body, making an individual extremely thirsty. He can steal the sounds of objects, making them soundless when interacted with. He can steal the temperature of an area, thus making it colder or hotter. He can steal your eyesight, blinding you, and even steal the friction of the ground, making it slippery. The properties are stored in the bubbles, and then popping releases these properties in a certain area. The sound of glass breaking, for example, can be taken from a kitchen and released in a separate room. This ability pretty much has no limits on what it can steal, unless it's things that don't physically exist in the real world, like your memories or computer data. Or perhaps it can steal them. The bubbles take on attributes of Killer Queen's explosion ability. Exploding them near someone will cause a little bit of damage on its own. Any physical objects within the bubbles will fly out when the bubbles pop, causing a great deal of damage. They seem to be able to detonate like mines too. He doesn't use this aspect of the ability much, but it has potential to be extremely powerful. Soft and Wet's ability was originally envisioned to be able to place a variety of different screws on objects, which could then be dismantled or linked together, similar to Sticky Finger's zipper ability. This stand power was eventually scrapped and later given to Joshu as Nut King Call. Soft and Wet's bubbles aren't actually bubbles, but a line moving in a spear-like motion at extremely high speeds. The line itself is so thin that it almost doesn't exist, combined with the fact that the bubbles utilize the spin, which we all know can create reality-breaking stands, and you have a recipe for an extremely powerful stand ability. The bubbles come out of Josuke's birthmark and are almost invisible to the naked eye. They're channeled through Josuke's fingertips. They contain something called an explosive spin, which when in contact with an object erases or disintegrates them, similar to Cream's Void ability. The explosive spin can be turned off, allowing the bubbles to phase through objects like walls and people. The bubbles have the absolute power to cross through anything, allowing it to travel through non-physical planes like the internet and likely dimensions to reach its target. This is how Soft and Wet was able to defeat Wonder of You, as the bubbles technically not existing meant it didn't follow the flow of logic and Calamity, which Wonder of You controlled. These bubbles can likely exist and travel through stop time, erase time, and love train's light, completely unaffected by those abilities. I would dare even say it's immune to Return to Zero, because you can't return something that doesn't exist, and thus doesn't follow Fate or Calamity to zero. Josuke would be Returned to Zero, but not the bubbles themselves. The bubbles going through you causes an immense amount of damage. It can send an individual flying and erases their insides, leading to death most of the time. If Soft and Wet was up against stands like Star Platinum or Crazy Diamond, it would stand no chance in a fist fight, but to go beyond bubbles would change the tide of battle. These stands wouldn't be able to touch these bubbles and it would disintegrate parts of the body in a lot of cases. These bubbles would likely move through Star Platinum's time stop and Crazy Diamond's barriers, which would definitely catch them by surprise. These bubbles are just as powerful as the infinite rotation, which we know is a formidable ability. This is all thanks to the spin, which has shown time and time again to give stands massive power boosts. Just think about Soft and Wet's ability to steal properties from objects, explode, and go beyond boundaries. That gives Josuke the highest amount of powers at his disposal compared to all the Joestars. I'd put Soft and Wet as one of the most versatile and powerful stands out there. The properties of its bubbles and stand stats makes it an incredibly formidable foe to tackle. P.S. I know some of you will say that Return to Zero can still undo the bubbles based on GR's statements here, but one of you said the exact same thing, and he still got clapped.